Who's ready? What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This is part 2 of my drill bits video. We covered the 10 types of drill bit. If you're getting into woodworking and any kind of trade, those are all, one or all of those 10 will cover you in any base you need. We talked about 10 different types, and I have 4 different types I'm going to expand upon because the other 6 are pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of variation, but I have multiple types of these 4 we're going to cover today. Twist bits. We covered twist bits. We know that their function is phenomenal. They were one of the first drill bits. They're still around today. They're awesome. This is a titanium oxide twist bit. A very nice one. I like it quite a bit. I have 2 sets of these in my truck and in my building here. Very nice bits. They perform the function I need them to. But these are higher up on the scale. If we had a scale of low to high, these are high, these are low. These are black oxide. These are pretty much the cheapest twist bits you can buy. These are my first set of twist bits. I still have maybe like a third of them, and they're all dull and they suck. They're like $10 a set. The titanium oxide ones are maybe 15 or 20 a set. I highly suggest spend the extra money and getting that higher quality. So we have 2 types of twist bits already. They're the same type. They have the same head, just a slant up on either side. Very basic. These will both drill through metal, although you may kill the black oxide in a couple holes. When you get up to the highest level of twist bit, we have cobalt bits. Our low, our medium, and our high. These cobalt bits are as much as an entire set of titanium twist bits. I bought a titanium twist bit set for 25 bucks. This is a $25 cobalt bit. I've had it for, I don't know, 2-3 years now, and I've used it more than I ever thought I would. It's just as sharp as the day I got it. Cobalts excel at metal. They will drill through wood and plastic and anything other than masonry, because these don't have that carbide head, but with metal these are perfect. I was drilling a bunch of holes in my trailer to put siding on, and this thing drilled these holes excellently. They are, the only thing with these is they're prone to break if you get them in a really bad bind, because they're so tough and hard that they're brittle. Now this is different from the other tips because it has a split point tip. So it has the flutes that come up to the point and then they flatten out, and then you have a little point on top of that. That allows this to be almost like a pilot bit, and then the rest of the bit catches up. This is very fast, very good at drilling through metal. You got to use some kind of lubricant like WD-40 or something to save the bit. But I would recommend that with any twist bit, any bit you're drilling through with metal, use lubricant. But this is my metal go-to. And my wood go-to is what you call a brad point. Give you a comparison. You have your twist bit, standard flutes, your split point, 2 flutes, and a brad point, which has, opposed to the split point, it does have a split point, but these ends of the flutes actually curl up, and they create the edge of the hole. And it has a point in the middle, which is very sharp, and it's very pointy, opposed to the other one, which is dulled off. It has a point, but this one, just like the pre-drill bit in the last video, goes up to a point. Instead of going up and then angling, this goes angle all the way up to the point. This will not drill through metal. At least the one I had years ago that I drilled through with metal, it killed the bit. This is a precise woodworking bit. That bit is very sharp and very pointy, and so you put that on your mark exactly where you want your hole and you drill, and that will allow it to not walk and cut very clean edges on the side. There's 4 different types of twist bits, and there's all different types between black oxide and cobalt, different quality levels, but those are the 4 types that I have, and the 4 types that if you're going to buy a twist bit, you should look into what you're going to use. What is your most common function for it? And hopefully that'll help you. The next type that we're going to talk about is the paddle bits, the spade bits, the paddle bits, whatever you want to call them. I have a couple different types because I had a couple different sets. First off, my favorite is the Diablo Speed Demon. These things are awesome. Super fast, super aggressive. They don't get caught up on anything. Diablo just came out with a set that are nail proof, so it's like this but tougher. If you're in framing and you hit a nail, it'll stop, and then you back up and start it again, it'll cut the nail and keep going. This won't do that, but I've hit quite a few things with these types of bits, and they are fine. They are super fast. Not very clean, but fast. We have a Spider, which is their competitor, the comparison to this everyone makes. If I take you from a side view, you can see that this is straight up and down, and this has a curve to it. So this actually, instead of just hitting the wood with the flat, like this, it curves and chunks it out. Just like that. That little bit of curve helps it eject and makes the sides, which are perfectly straight up and down this way, but angled this way, it helps it kind of scoop out the material with less stress on the sides opposed to the Spider, which is straight up and down. They have a self-feeding tip like the Diablo. They have the little fins on the side like the Diablo to cut the angle, or to cut the edges of the hole, but it's straight up and down. And so I've hit these side flutes, because these are sharp too. They cut the sides of the hole. I've broken these, I've bent these, I've had this thing snap in half. This is too much stress for that straight up and down piece. This is one of my granddad's paddle bits that he gave me. They're my first paddle bits, not my first set, my first paddle bits. And they're like 40-year-old Irwins. These Irwins, instead of having a self-feeding tip, they just have a spade tip, which is pieces of metal that come up and have a sharp end on them. These flutes on the side are at like a couple degree angle up, but they're pretty much flat. And the sides that would cut the edges of the hole, they have a little bit of edge to them, but this bit, it's not self-feeding. It doesn't have really sharp extra edges and extra flutes and extra pieces to help it cut better. So this is really slow. It makes a cleaner hole than the Diablo and the Spider, but it's really slow. And these tend to die quickly because of the point. The point gets jammed up, clogged, dulled. They don't last very long. They're cheap. They're the cheapest, but they don't last very long. And if I'm going to drill a hole with a paddle bit and not a Forstner bit, because a Forstner bit is precise. If I needed precision, I'd use a Forstner bit. If I'm using a paddle bit, it needs to be fast. I'm going to use my Diablo. A lot of people have their preference of hole saw, whether it be Milwaukee or Diablo or Spider or Lennox even, or whatever your preferred brand is. I like the Spider system. I'm a huge Diablo guy. You noticed almost every type of bit I have Diablos. Because they just make the best bits. But I don't have any of their hole saws because they're really expensive, first off. And their system is overcomplicated, like most systems. Let me see if I still have it. This is a typical mandrel for hole saw. It's a bit that's held in by a nut. It has a threaded piece, and then you have your collet that you would put into your drill. You then take your drill bit, you thread it on, and it's held in there. That is one way to do it, but when it comes to ejecting the core that you drilled through with your hole saw, there's a piece of wood between here and here. You gotta unthread the hole saw and get in these holes with a screwdriver and pop out the core. That's inconvenient and slow, and doesn't work very well. So Spider has these mandrels. It's this big long drill bit. Their piece that the hole saw screws into has retainer clips here, and your drill bit. So you slide this over, press this button, locks into place, right? When you get here, there's a little knob here you pull, and they'll go out of the way. So you put your hole saw on, like you would do with your other brands, you twist it on, and then you twist till that locks into the hole saw. So now, this ain't going anywhere. There's a button on there. What do you think that button does? We drill our hole, we got our core in there. Now we're gonna get in a screwdriver and pry it out? No. You press that button, it knocks the hole saw down past the drill bit into this little area that's wider than the drill bit. So the core gets stuck on there and pops out. So then instead of having to get a screwdriver, you drill your hole down, core comes out. You just pull it right out, no big deal. And then you go right up to your position again where you're locked. That is my favorite system. Mandrels are important. Take a brand that you like the mandrel and the swap out system of. That's important. And then it comes down to the actual hole saw itself. There's really three types. There's bimetal. I have, what is this, a 1 1/8? I have a 1 1/8 bimetal. I have a bimetal hole saw all the way up to my 6-inch. Bimetal hole saws are good. They're decent. They'll cut through metal. They'll cut through wood. They'll cut through plastic. Especially if you're on a budget. They're the way to go. The next level is more of a tough masonry style with less teeth but larger teeth. It's like this, where this only has 2 teeth. One here and one here, but big billets and big teeth. This thing will cut through masonry. That specific tip for masonry. Spider makes a masonry mandrill. So this is my masonry set, pretty much. If I'm using this mandrill, I'm using these hole saws. And the final type is an all carbide teeth. So these are carbides, but there's not that many. This is like a bimetal. It looks the same, except for each of these little teethuses is a carbide. So this will cut through metal. This is rated to cut through stone. I don't feel like I trust it. I feel like the little teethuses would break off, but it's rated to cut through metal, stone, wood, plastics, and nail embedded wood. What this can't do that this can is it can cut through nails and probably masonry, although I'm not going to ruin this bit because it's expensive. These are your everyday poor man bits. Everyone should have some. You have your medium, more specific, I can do masonry and wood and metal and blah blah blah. These are the best. They're supposed to do everything. Go to Lowe's, check them out. The Spider's sold at Lowe's exclusively. They're phenomenal hole saws. Not a big fan of their paddle bits, or really most of any of their other bits, but I'm a big fan of their hole saws. And that covers hole saws. 3 different types, 2 different mandrills, and a basic brand comparison. Last time we talked about this one. It has a carbide insert. It just looks like a twist bit with an ugly head. That's your standard one. It does not go in an SDS hammer drill. These, let me show you. So these go into the drill like this. Now I have it on drill mode, so I want you to listen to the motor difference. This is hammer drill mode now. It'll start moving this up and down. There's a little component in here that makes it hammer just a little bit, which is what makes these hammer drill bits work in masonry, is the hammering action. So these, you can use a bit like that in this drill. You can't use it in an SDS drill, but you can use it in a combination hammer drill. We showed you that. Now this is a fine flute. It has a carbide insert, but lots of little flutes on it. This is a very old bit. This is probably older than my parents. This is from my great-granddad. I think it's just an earlier iteration of a hammer drill bit, but I've noticed that it drills slower, but it drills cleaner. This, for some reason, makes the holes a little nicer. So if you're doing the holes inside of a really nice house, you may look into that. I just have never seen these in stores. These are so old. Those are both 2 flutes. I'll show you. They have 1 carbide, 2 cutting flutes. This is a 4 flute, where it has 4 cutting heads, 4 surfaces, 4 flutes on it, with 1 giant carbide. This is 1 cast, or 1 made carbide. I was going to say cast, but they're not cast. This is a Diablo. I think it's a 1x18 inch hammer drill bit for an SDS Plus hammer drill. So it has a very specific shank on the back. I could chuck this into my combination drill, but I may ruin the end of it, which needs to go to my hammer drill. And then combination drill is not big enough to drill a 1-inch hole in masonry. I'm just going to tell you right now. But this is like $80. When you need it, but it's expensive. Homeowners probably don't need this unless you're drilling giant holes all the time. This head, the reason why it's so big and complicated and has 4 cutting flutes, is this is what they call a rebar demon, a Diablo rebar demon. This will cut through rebar in the concrete. And so when I hit rebar, or when I'm drilling through concrete that I know has rebar in it for one reason or another, I grab this bit instead of my other 1-inch hammer drill bit. So you have your rebar cutters with 4 flutes. Other brands make 4 flutes that aren't rebar rated, but this is. Very big. You should always have a set of big hammer drill bits and small hammer drill bits. And speaking of SDS hammer drills, this is a standard SDS hammer drill bit. It has the shank on the back, your 1 carbide 2 flute design, but this one is a Tapcon brand, not any other normal brand. This is part of a set that I use all the time with my hammer drill. It comes with one of a various size and then one of these, which will chuck into an impact drill or a combination drill. This right here, they both have this special cut right here that fits onto the con drive. So you have this in your big hammer drill. You don't have to have 2 drills now. You have this in your hammer drill. You drill your hole, you pull it out, you stick this on there, and then you have your nut driver or your number 2 Phillips or whatever bit you need to screw your fastener in there. You pop it in there, and it has a mechanism inside which will only allow it to torque down so much. So you get down, you're drilling with your hammer drill, you're drilling your screw into the hole you just drilled, and it will cut out and release the clutch inside this unit so it doesn't overdrive and snap off your fastener, whether it's a Tapcon or screws with wires stuck in it. This is a very nice tool, especially if you're doing lots of holes. You can just drill, con drive, drive the screw. Drill, con drive, drive the screw. This will fit in an impactor or combi drill. It also fits on there. So this con drive, this Tapcon con drive, comes with the set. You can buy more bits, you can buy more accessories for it. This is a huge, huge upgrade from other ways of doing it. If you're doing handyman work or your GC or construction worker, look into that. And the last type for today is a multi-bit. This is a Bosch multi-bit. It has a 1/4-inch shank for your impact drivers. It'll fit in your drills, combi drills, because it needs a hammering action. It's a 2 flute. But it is different because it's really well sharpened and the bit is made out of different metals than normal hammer drill bits. This is a multi-bit. It will cut through wood just fine. Not as fast as other drill bits, but it'll drill through it just fine without worry of damaging, because these carbides are dull to wood. They won't drill wood very well, but they'll drill masonry. This is sharp, and I've drilled lots of holes with my set of these. It'll drill through wood, it'll drill through stone, it'll drill through metal. They actually recommend these for metal and stone. If I could only have one of a twist bit, I would go with the cobalt bit. It's expensive, but it'll drill through anything but masonry. It's phenomenal. Paddle bits. Their purpose is to go fast, not clean. If you're trying to drill clean holes with this, you need to go get a Forstner bit, or you need to use a hole saw or something. It's gonna do a little nicer hole. I'm gonna choose the Diablo because it's the fastest and the toughest. Hole saws. We talked about bimetal, large carbide, and all carbide. If I had to choose a winner, I'm gonna actually go with all or big carbide, because I know the carbides will last longer and are less likely to break off. They have more surface that's welded to the hole saw itself. I've used this one a lot and it works. I haven't used this one yet, but I'm worried about using it on masonry. I don't want to break it. So I'm going to choose the middle one because it seems to be more robust for me. And on hammer drill bits, I used to go for my multi-bit because that was my favorite. But now I find myself more and more going for the Tapcon con drive set. It just makes the job easy. Pretty much if you're drilling a hole in masonry, you're going to put something back in that hole. Unless it's like a giant wedge anchor, then you're going to want it something big. But I mainly do smaller stuff like small fasteners on masonry. This con drive set, whether the 1/4-inch shank or the SDS hammer drill piece, it's phenomenal. I'm going to choose this as a general purpose. And then overall, for homeowners, new people, young guys, whatever it is, if I could only tell you to buy 3 types of drill bits, and honestly only 3 types of drill bits, I would tell you, get you a really good set of twist bits, right? Get you a set of Forstner bits. This is your metal bit. This is your wood bit. For your masonry bit, get some multi-bits, Bosch multi-bits. They'll cut through anything, and they'll cut through the masonry just fine with a combi drill. Anyway, that's a lot of talk about drill bits. I could probably talk about more adapters like that and extensions and oddities. What do you guys think? Tell me what you think in the comment section below. Check out part 1 of the description. Thanks for watching. I gotta put all these bits up and go to work because I'm probably gonna need half these bits on the next job site. Anyway, if you guys want to see another type of content or more content with this, comparisons, any type of tool stuff, how to do different carpentry, whatever it is, I'm in a space where I'm able to teach that a lot easier now. So if you want to learn about different types of drills or anything, let me know in the comments below what you want to see. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.